Hey guys, welcome back to sgCarMart Reviews. Today we are going to talk about whether or not crossovers are super overrated. Will the crossover slash SUV trend die or grow even stronger? What do you guys think, John?
Well, I must say I think it is super overrated, especially especially okay. I'm just going to go straight into an example. I know last week I said one of the top five starter cars should be the Stonic. I still stand by that because I think that's where a lot of people will go to. But if we look at the numbers, right, the Stonic.
Wait, didn't you choose the Forester as well?
No, the Forester was the upgrade car.
Right,
Yeah, the
right,
Stonic
right.
is
Okay,
the starter
okay.
car. Okay, so for the Stonic, right, it's based on the Kia Rio. So in terms of dimensions, right, when people buy a crossover, they are interested in the height, the ground clearance, and maybe the overall height of the car. But if you compare it to the Kia Rio, the ground clearance is only 4 centimeters more, and the height is just 7 cm more. That's a lot, but for the same price of the Kia Stonic, if you go one up on the range of sedans in Kia, you get the Cerato. And the Cerato's ground clearance is only 2 cm less than the Stonic. So the Stonic is 18 cm, the Cerato is 16 cm. And what you're sacrificing in terms of space when you buy the Stonic is is the width. The Cerato is actually slightly wider. Cerato is 1.8 meters, the Stonic is 1.76, and the Cerato has 500 liters of boot space, the Stonic has 350. So I know it's comparing different classes of cars, but that's what I'm trying to point out to a lot of buyers of crossovers, right? You're actually paying more for a smaller car for the height. And the practical numbers guy in me just cannot agree to that. Yeah.
And don't you drive a crossover too, Jonathan?
Yeah. Okay.
Well done.
I just wanted to say that as well.
In my defense, when I bought my Forester, it was the same price as the Impreza. Yeah, 97,000.
okay.
So in a way, I made the smart choice. I paid the same and I got more space.
Oh, is it bigger than
Okay.
than the Impreza? I thought. Yeah. I think what you mentioned earlier about the Kias, at least. I think for certain models, right, definitely the crossovers will be less practical than the sedans. Um, a lot of them, I think they have much bigger boots when it comes to the sedan counterparts. I'm not sure if Skoda is the same, because Skoda, all of them pretty much have bigger boots. But I think for the other manufacturers, this is very true. And yeah, I think a lot of people are. I mean, from the get-go, when you see a crossover, it looks bigger, right? Even though the
Yes.
dimensions might not seem like so, I think
Yes.
that is a very big selling point to a lot of people. And the moment they see a big car, then I mean, the image of driving a big car is, I don't know, maybe it feels like success, maybe, I'm not too sure. But then the fact is that it's also quite easy to drive these crossovers, so I think that is quite a big selling point, and people are buying into this crossover game, man. It used to be MPVs though. I think you guys remember, a lot of people bought MPVs at the time because the idea of having two extra seats is a big selling point apparently back then. But
Yeah. And then slowly they had 7-seater SUVs.
yes, that's right. Now that has changed to 7-seater SUVs, and well, there are still people who buy MPVs because they actually need it now. But I think the people who bought MPVs back then, who never really needed the extra seats, are now getting into crossovers because of the apparent size and the added practicality of some of these crossovers.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but okay, before I share my opinion, I just wanted to tell you, Idris, Your hair is damn Beatles, man.
Really, I thought it's more like Jimi Hendrix or something, you know.
Okay, no, I don't think it's that much of whether or not the SUV slash crossover segment is overrated. We feel that it's overrated because everyone is going for it, right? I mean, several years ago, SUVs became the one of the biggest thing in the US. Slowly spread throughout the world. Singapore is still a sedan-driven market, I will say, but SUV is steadily and surely catching up. So I don't know if you're asking the correct question, whether or not it's an overrated segment. I think, like all things, I think the question should be, what will be the next big thing after SUVs, right? I mean, I always felt that SUVs, crossovers, they'll always be a big thing because we need to have. Okay, I know I'm probably being very biased by saying this, right? But um, if you think about it, do you think that the SUVs and stuff it's better suited for the older generation because getting in and out of the car is just easier? So maybe they were driving sedans before. Maybe they're driving hatchbacks before and now they swapped over to SUVs slash crossovers because getting in and out of the car is just easier, right? Because space wise, crossovers can't beat sedans. We've driven so many CUVs, crossovers. They're not much bigger, to be quite honest. You just get extra headroom. Arguably, maybe some shoulder room, but that's quite about it. Boot space is, you don't get a lot more. Uh, you don't get a lot more legroom either. So yeah, I mean, to me, I think it'll always be there, right? And then when you talk about the millennials and the Generation Z, these are the people who probably don't enjoy driving or don't need a car, don't know anything about a car, and even if they do, they probably want more tech in the car. So whether or not it's an SUV or sedan don't really matter so long as it's right in the affordable price range and it offers a lot of tech just for them to have some boasting rights perhaps.
Yeah, but I think for the most part, I think a lot of if you talk about the younger generation, I think if you compare like the previous generation GLA, Mercedes GLA as well as the A class, I think a lot of people will go for the GLA just because it's a crossover and it looks
Yeah.
supposedly bigger also. But then again,
Menacing.
yeah, a little menacing,
Right.
the baby SUV. But yeah, I can agree with you when you mentioned that the older generation they prefer crossovers because that is true for my parents also. They prefer getting in and out of a crossover now, and I mean, talk to them 10 years ago, they would have stuck to sedans, and they did
Yeah.
drive sedans back then, and hatchbacks, and now it's
I mean,
in crossovers.
this occurred to me because when my mom is in the front seat with me, she actually has problems getting in and out of the car. I think it also has to do with a lot of the bucket seats.
Yeah,
But I realized both my dad and my mom, they have problems getting in and out of my car. So I figured probably, yeah, that could be it. You know, crossovers, SUVs are probably their favorite choice because ingress and egress is just a lot easier for them.
But I have to say, yes, when I got my crossover, getting in and out and putting a baby into the seat was an important factor in why we chose the car. However, I must say that more and more we are seeing very small crossovers, and that's where I have a problem because these small crossovers are not much higher than regular sedans, and that's why
Or
yeah,
hatchbacks.
they are really hatchbacks that are slightly tiptoeing, and getting in and out of them, I would really say is not much different from some sedans, and that's why I think sometimes it is able to kind of bluff you that, oh, this is a higher car. It is a taller car, but it's not by much. And if you're really buying it for the height, then I would think that you need to look one model up. Because I really think that small size crossovers, small size SUVs are just not really doing a good job of what it's supposed to do, which is being taller and being bigger. But they give that impression, but they are actually not that much taller. And I feel that if you're buying that type of car, you might as well go for the one step higher sedan equivalent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think it's because of... Okay, so like, for example, I'm looking for an SUV slash crossover, right? Let's just bring a brand to mind. Let's just say I'm hoping to buy an Audi SUV. And then I look at the Q3 and I realize that, oh man, it's way above my price range, what I can afford. So instead, I go for the Audi Q2. Perception-wise, I'm still getting what I want because I'm getting a crossover. Price-wise, I'm paying a lot lesser, significantly lesser. Do you think it's really just, in that sense, it's really just buying to satisfy my want rather than a need? Because I want to be seen in SUV. I want to be seen in a more aggressive looking. I want to be seen in a car that's following the current trend. But I don't need it. I just want it. So it doesn't matter whether it's a Q5, Q7, Q8, Q3, or even a Q2. So long as when people ask me, hey, what car are you driving? Oh, I'm driving a crossover slash SUV, you know. It's like when people come to you, John, and say, hey, what car are you driving? You can say, I'm driving an SUV.
Okay.
Then immediately people forms the perception that, oh man, maybe you are the outdoorsy sort of guy, you know, family man. But if somebody were to come to you and say, John, what do you drive? Oh, I'm driving a sedan. Then they'll be like, oh, Altis, Civic,
Okay.
Passat. You know what I mean?
I guess
So I'm not too sure if it's because of that. What do you guys think?
that's a fair point that driving a crossover or SUV gives off a certain vibe or impression. But I think people, when they buy it, right, they aside from the impression, I think after a while, after driving it for a while, they will want to really have that same feeling you get from an SUV rather than just an impression. You know, raising the Q2 as an example, right, the Q2's ground clearance is 15 cm. The Kia Cerato's ground clearance is 16 cm. So it's just quite interesting that a sedan has a higher ground clearance than a crossover. So if you buy it in...
We need to educate readers.
Yeah, with the impression that, oh, SUV is supposed to be tall and the great ground clearance, then you must also go and do your research whether this really suits the criteria and not just buy it because, oh, I want to be in the crossover crowd. Yeah.
Okay, but I think, call me the devil's advocate, okay? Let's just say I'm from the car dealer side. There are certain things that can't be forced. So for the sake of business case, because I am into the whole cost savings thingy and I use one platform to do multiple cars. So I think that's also the reason. So okay, to put it simply, let's just take Volkswagen's MQB's platform as an example. I mean, it's made not just for the Golf, it's also made for several different sorts of models, be it whether a sedan or crossover and so forth. Right, so I think that's why they can't really do much for the ground clearance. So for business case, if I'm going to have this one platform, I might as well just make use of this platform to do multiple models for the sake of business case. So if I want a bigger car, I won't be using the MQB, I'll be using the MLB platform, and then that will be used to churn out another few models instead of just one or two. So I think it's really for the sake of business case, really for the sake of money and cents, right?
It is, and I think SUVs are saving quite a number of companies. I think, like for example, if you talk Alfa Romeo, I think when they released the Giulia, a lot of people said like, "Oh, this is the car that will save the brand." You know, it's it's an Alfa Romeo that looks really good and has all the performance capabilities. But when they launched the Stelvio, I think much later, I think now Alfa is selling the Stelvio like 3-1 against the Giulia. So for every one Giulia they sell, they sell 3 Stelvios. So
Actually, that reminds me of something, Idris. I mean, it's exactly the same as Porsche,
Yes.
right? I'm not saying that Porsche was a dying brand.
Correct.
I mean, it was doing very well, the 911s and the Caymans and so on and so forth. And then the Cayenne came.
Yes.
And everyone said that, you know what, it's a blasphemy, this shouldn't be the case. But look at where or how Cayenne has brought Porsche up by that much.
yes, and it allows
Right?
them to make even better cars, which I think is very interesting. And I mean, Lamborghini also doing the same, and Maserati also has the Levante set in
I'm
the,
just waiting for Ferrari to come out with their SUV.
yeah. Is it gonna be called an FUV maybe? Ferrari.
I don't know.
Foof. But yeah, I mean, that's how it goes now.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but I think the next. Sorry, John, you were saying?
I do agree with the Cayenne because if you look at the Cayenne in the range against 911 and Cayman and everything, it is very different. It's really a lot taller than all the rest of the cars. The ground clearance is really a lot higher, and it has a lot more practicality. So I think that is a good example of a crossover slash SUV that it really fulfills the criteria that people want, which is the space, the height, and then giving people the impression that you're driving something big. Yeah, I guess my bugbear is with the really small crossovers because I feel those are really just hatchbacks tiptoeing and they are just
Okay, so what's your minimum? What's your minimum size that qualifies to be an SUV that makes sense? Like the Macan size, or even one size smaller, slightly smaller. Okay, or I mean, what's the smallest that we have here? I mean, will the Q3 be the minimum that you can go? You think?
I think the Q3 is already in that grey area of why does this thing exist, because it's not much bigger than a sedan and it's not much taller than a sedan. I think it for SUV it has to be tall. It has to have presence. So
Okay, fair
the
enough,
likes of the Q2, the GLA, the X2, those are crossovers that why? It's something like the CHR. I think the CHR
Okay,
will look very good.
The CHR I can completely
as a
understand.
coupe, but it's just raised and it looked good when it first came out, but now you just wonder whether a lowered CHR would actually be a better seller. I don't know.
I think I have a slightly disposition about the whole thing. So, for example, I think it makes absolute sense to have SUVs like the Q3, Q5, and Q7, the X1, X3, and the X5. I think those make a lot of sense. But I think it's the in-betweens to me that doesn't make sense at all. For instance, X2. X2 would be like a Q2, am I right, Idris?
Yeah, you could call it a Q2.
Yeah. I mean, and I think what doesn't make sense is the X4, which is a coupe, mid-size coupe SUV, or BMW calls it SAV.
Yeah.
The X6 doesn't make sense, and all these is just, like I said, right? Is it a want or a need?
Yeah.
Because if I need it, I'll probably get an X5 rather than an X6. I mean, it's boxier, it serves the purpose well. X6, I think, compromises a little bit on headroom because of the coupe roofline, the sloping roofline. So it's the same for the X4. So my problem is the in-betweens. But like I said, I think I can sort of understand because it's all done for the sake of business case. Is it necessary? I don't know. It's just competition, man.
Yeah, and everyone else is releasing coupe SUVs now. Audi and Porsche also are doing it already. And I don't know. It's just a strange thing to me. But I've driven an X4M and an X3M, and surprisingly, the X4M drives better than the X3M. Apparently, it's because of how it's shaped. That makes quite a bit of a difference. But the thing is, if you want a car which is fun to drive, you wouldn't be driving a 500 horsepower SUV going through corners. So
I guess.
so you're a little confused sometimes when you choose
I
these
know,
cars.
man, I know. But I guess that's. I mean, we all share differing opinions, and I think that's. I think we all make quite a fair, decent point on this topic. So, I don't know, guys. What do you think? I mean, feel free to comment in the comment box below and tell us what you think about this whole SUV crossover segment. I mean, will it fade away eventually, or are they here to stay? Will SUVs decline in popularity as well? We don't know. I think electric will be the next big thing, including plug-in hybrids as well. Okay, so anyway, that concludes our topic for today. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please do feel free to comment in the comment box below and tell us how you feel about SUVs. And if you have any other questions, or if you'd like to hear us talk about something in the next week or in the following weeks to come, please feel free to pen it down in the comment box below. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well.
Yes, stay healthy. Just a few weeks more, guys. A few weeks more.
One more month. One more month. It's not a few more weeks, it's one more month.
Keep it positive. A few more weeks, alright? Alright, see you guys. Wear a mask when you go out.
Alright, man. Ciao.
Ciao.